Question everything. So Eric Adams out there in New York, the mayor, is talking about how the immigrant that's coming to the country is destroying New York. Got the Venezuelan immigrants throwing objects at Aboriginal Negroes coming from their country. They come into a country we fought hand to stone and didn't get nothing from it other than more oppression to open up these gates for these different immigrants to come into the country so they can come in the country and disrespect us. It's sad. Not to mention they're running from their problems to come to our country that we had to fight to get away from black and white water, get away from being disrespected on a high level of hate crimes all throughout America that we still are under, for them to come to the country and get peripheral treatment over us. How is it that all y'all out here who's paying taxes is okay with all these different illegal immigrants coming to the country, and your tax dollars are putting them up in hotels in Times Square and Manhattan and many other different places all over Chicago and all these different areas of the cities of and states of America, your tax dollars are paying for, and you don't have no problem for that. But the crime against humanity that has happened and the massacres and atrocities through genocides that has happened to the Aboriginal Negroes of America, y'all don't want to give them reparations. But yet still, y'all willing to allow your tax dollars to pay for illegal immigrants to come into the country. Then you got illegal immigrants in the country holding up signs talking about they was promised jobs. How is that illegal immigrants coming to the country have first dibs at jobs over the American citizens when the American citizens are sitting around homeless, in need of help, in need of shelter, in need of food, in need of housing, in need of all sorts of different things that the Aboriginal Negroes and many others, as well as poor whites. But at the end of the day, you got illegal immigrants coming in talking about they're promised to have housing and jobs. But from who? Who's going to be left behind based off of them bringing in new groups of immigrants to get these jobs in this housing? What is going to happen to you, the taxpayer who's funding this approach for them to come in? Are you going to be able to get jobs? Is it going to be able to, are you going to be able to get any type of benefits that you need for the citizens of America that been here in America with the illegal immigrants coming in? Because you know this is being orchestrated openly on purpose. This is not the immigrants' fault. They just want a better place for themselves. They're not fighting at their homes, and changing their reality. They're running from it to come to a reality that the Aboriginal Negroes been fighting for since the colonizers got here in order to make things better. And now the colonizers are using the immigrants to buffer and smooth out and move out the Aboriginal Negroes as they bring in the immigrants to develop the Aboriginal Negroes communities in the sense of being able to get grants and bills passed and loans that we can't get because we redlined in this country, because the redlining hasn't stopped. So now they get all these different benefits that we fought for our people to have. They get them first, way before they can even think of coming our direction. And then they come in, they build up our communities and take over our communities as well. This is done on purpose. You think these wealthy people don't know what they're doing? They're doing this on purpose. And you need to hold your wealthy folks accountable for this. Why? Because they're destroying the future of your grandbabies and your children to have anything in Aboriginal community, if Aboriginal communities even survive to exist 10 years from now, based off the amount of people that's coming into the country through illegal immigration and being funded ahead of you. And that's the key word, funded, because they're being funded to be better and live better than you in the country. At the same time, you're a citizen of the country and the Aboriginal Negroes of the country being circumvented out of the country and out of the lands that your forefathers and your ancestors been there for thousands of years, despite what the colonizers try to rewrite history into as they stopped the Aboriginal Negroes from reading for 200 years. This is just the reality. So you can't get reparations, but they got dollars and bills and grants and all sorts of stuff to be able to help illegal immigrants. And all y'all that are against reparations, which is real justice that is justified for all the wrongs that has been done to the Aboriginal Negroes, all y'all that's against reparations, I see that y'all not against your tax dollars going to the illegal immigrants and funding them. And so that they can have great, beautiful Latino communities. And once again, it's not any front on the fact that this is what's happening. And until y'all wake up and demand justice in the form of your reparations, meaning the land and the money that they owe y'all into the trillions of dollars as Aboriginal Negroes, then y'all might as well just say y'all gonna be the third world country people here in America on your own land, circumvented out of your land as they bring in all other immigrants, as well as the colonizers, inheritors, who are also illegal immigrants who invaded our land, going to be able to live way better than you. And their 1% and 10% of them that actually is impoverished are going to be the ones that surround you. That's what's going to happen. And every other nation is going to become your boss, going to become your CEO, going to become your small business owners at the same time as you lose everything as the Aboriginal Negroes. And you pretty much at that point now. Just look at Dr. Claude Anderson. Look him up, check him out, and see what he said about our economic growth and how it hasn't moved in the last 150 years. This is by paperwork, thus letting you know that the documents is where it's at. So with that, it's a sad day, man, because at the end of the day, all y'all clowning and dancing and singing and joking and twerking and doing all this stuff, but y'all ain't paying attention to what's really going on in real reality, in real futuristic movement for our people and how it's going to work for our people. You're too busy hating one another based off of how they taught us and programmed us through these movies and through all these different school programs that they have put us under, universal programs and religious programs, to where now we running around here hating ourselves and we missing the big picture of what's really going on. And this is economic warfare. This is resource warfare. And we're losing 100%. And this system is systematically weeding us out and locking up the strength of us 100% through mass incarceration and denying and keeping us pushed out for careers and jobs and owning our own small businesses as the strength, which is your men, your Aboriginal Negro men, are being crushed by this system by way of the pen. And you see some of it even with the slave patrol, aka the departments we call law enforcement, and how they treat our people. But if you're not going to wake up and you're not going to acknowledge what is going on, even woke is being attacked by mainstream society because they don't want you to wake up and talk to each other and acknowledge what's happening, because at the end of the day, that empowers you. And they don't never want to see you in power as the Aboriginal Negroes of America. So until you acknowledge that we still are under siege and we are still with our oppressors to this day, and all they did was pass on the oppression of us and the control of our oppression to their inheritors, then there's nothing we're going to be able to do about it. It's up to you, Aboriginal Negroes, to acknowledge this truth. Because if we don't acknowledge this truth, just look at your baby and tell your baby, the world going to crush you. Look at your grandbaby and tell your grandbaby, the world going to crush you. Because at the end of the day, that is exactly what's happening. Because without no resources in our community, without no resources to our people, without no resources to uplift and motivate and move our nation, then there's nothing. Just look at Africa and look at all the different foreigners in Africa and how they suck up the resources for Africa and bring them all around the world, and at the same time crushing the people. Go figure. It's been happened to us here on our own land as the Aboriginal Negroes of America. And with that, I just don't get it. I just don't understand it. For that is the question. You let me know. Peace, peace.